I'm wondering, have we been lied to? Have we been misled? Are we being told things that are extremely exaggerated, designed to mislead us, designed to make us upset, and designed to bring us to the wrong conclusion? The answer to that question, to all those questions, is yes. In fact, we've been lied to by both the Republicans as well as the Democrats, and I'll give you specific examples in this video. Welcome to our channel. If you learn something new, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. Let's start with some extremely interesting comments from the leader of the House, from the Republican side, the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy. He said a lot of things, including the fact that only 9% of the stimulus bill goes towards the pandemic, which is not quite accurate. There have been some claims of undocumented immigrants getting stimulus checks, which also is not quite accurate. There have been claims of Pelosi subway, Pelosi payoffs, which are quite interesting. And there have been some statements from the President of the United States that are highly exaggerated. Let's start with some important comments, everyone, from the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy. Let's analyze what he said, and then I'll give you specific examples of us being lied to by both the Republicans and the Democrats when it comes to this all important, this crucial, for many of us, for millions of us, this life saving $1.9 trillion stimulus. Let's just jump right in and take a look at some comments from Kevin McCarthy. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and play this. We'll watch this together.
Republicans will support whatever is needed to get America back to work, back to school, and back to health. After 12 months of struggling, suffering, and sacrificing, that's what Americans want, what they need and what they deserve. That's why Republicans will introduce a motion to recommit to bolster the resources of families can access to help their children cope with the emotional stress of school closures. And it won't be for parents who just work for the federal government. It'll be for all American parents. In every single district, if you watch, the anxiety, the fear for children have risen to the 3 million children that now mark a year that they haven't been in the classroom. Our proposal would shift the $140 million from Speaker Pelosi's subway to grants that would be used for mental.
So this is important. He said, you heard him say it, he said Speaker Pelosi's subway. And this is one example of a misleading claim. Let's get back to this, and then I'll give you my analysis right after.
Health services for children. It puts children.
By the way, when we hear this, it sounds awesome. It sounds like, oh, Kevin McCarthy is, looking out for the children. But folks, I want to be as clear as I can. Republicans and Democrats are saying things designed to get us to support them and blame the other side. Let's get back to McCarthy.
Children's first, not the swamp. Democrats have conveniently ignored the education and mental health crisis affecting our children, but failing to address it is unacceptable. Families deserve answers. Tonight they will finally get it. Our colleagues, it's a very clear and concise question you have before you. If you vote for the bill, you're cutting Medicare, you're cutting your hospitals, you're cutting your health providers with your vote. If you vote against the motion to recommit what you changed, you are picking $140 million that you just added to last night to a subway tunnel just outside of the Speaker's district. So who do you pick? All American parents to give them the grants and the resources they need to cope with their children's anxiety, the rise of suicide, and the mental health? Or do you think that subway is really appropriate right here, right now? Make a decision. Is the swamp back, or the hardworking American taxpayers come first? It's an easy question. It's easy for me to decide, and I think it's easy for America to decide as well. I yield back.
Now, when we listen to this, folks, when we listen to this, you have to ask yourself, the choice that Kevin McCarthy is presenting to us is the hardworking American parent on one side and in his own words, the swamp on the other side, the Pelosi subway on the other side. They're pretty incredible. You let me know what you would choose. Let's actually take a look at a rather interesting article that was actually published by the New York Times, assessing claims in the pandemic. Lawmakers have made many misleading claims about Pelosi subways, and gosh, which lawmaker would we be talking about? Unauthorized immigrants receiving checks, which is a false claim, and school funding. Let's just jump right in. By the way, I'll provide you with the link, everyone. I'll provide you with the link to this article in the description section below, so you can definitely check this out on your own. Let me start with one of the claims made by Kevin McCarthy. He said this is supposed to be a COVID bill. Only 9% of it goes to COVID. Now, keep in mind that this 9% refers to the $160 billion, everyone. The $160 billion for the national vaccination program, which we all agree is important. The Democrats agree is important. The Republicans agree is important. And this would also expand testing, and it would create a public testing program, which was outlined by the Biden administration. So approximately 8.4%, or $160 billion out of the $1.9 trillion, which is the 9% that Kevin McCarthy is referring to, is allocated specifically to fighting the pandemic. But a lot of money, hundreds of billions of dollars, almost $500 billion to be specific, $460 billion is advocated for stimulus checks. The stimulus checks also go to fight the pandemic, because the stimulus checks are meant to help people who are impacted as a direct result of the pandemic. So the interpretation that 9% goes towards COVID, only 9% goes towards COVID, is a very narrow, very one sided interpretation designed to make the Republicans look good and the Democrats look bad. I want to be clear that, Democrats, do positioning ploys like that as well. But this bill includes healthcare spending, subsidizing insurance coverage for healthcare workers, for laid off workers, extending unemployment insurance, and funding for veterans care, all of which are important and a direct result of the pandemic. And also, similar to the first two stimulus bills, the first stimulus check of $1,200 and the second stimulus check of $600, similar to that, a substantial portion of the American Rescue Plan goes to help people who are harmed as a direct result of the pandemic, meaning the $1,400 stimulus check. So again, this is, in that sense, the bill is very similar. This overall structure of the bill is very similar to the first two bills, but no. Kevin McCarthy would have you believe that it's only 9% going towards COVID and the rest is all wasteful spending. And let's hammer the Pelosi subway. Let's hammer the Pelosi subway. Let's hammer the Pelosi subway, so that we agitate people and give people talking points on forums, on online forums, in the comment section, to smash the wasteful pork from the Democrats. Now, folks, let's talk about the Pelosi subway for a second. One of the Republican senators, Senator Marsha Blackburn, from Tennessee, pointed this out. Let's check out a tweet from Senator Marsha Blackburn. She wrote, "We've run the numbers, and here's your receipt, Speaker Pelosi." And she writes, "Art Museum and Library Services, $335 million. Pelosi subway, $112 million. Now, what is this whole Pelosi subway situation? Let's clear the air, everyone. So the Pelosi subway refers to a project to extend the Bay Area Rapid Transit System, also called as the BART system, into downtown San Jose, which is an hour south of San Francisco, and it is indeed the district that House Speaker Pelosi represents. But a spokesperson for the House committee said that the BART extension was not receiving special funding, but rather simply being funded proportionately to other projects across the country. Now, overall, the bill includes $30 billion to help public transit agencies, the bulk of which covers operational costs of transit systems across the country, meaning there's a lot of money being spread out, and $112 million targeted to the specific district that House Speaker Pelosi represents is not because it's her district. It's because that is the allocation for that district out of the entire $30 billion. But, of course, the Republicans are going to cherry pick that and call that the Pelosi subway. Also, here's something else. When we look at this tweet from Senator Marsha Blackburn, you look at it and go, "Oh my God, it's a Democratic wish list. The Democrats are awful. Look at that. That's awful." And then it kind of gets you all charged up. But let's look at the numbers for a second. Let's add up all of these numbers. Let's add all of these numbers up on your screen, and I did that for you. That's $547 million. Okay. Now, how much is $547 million as a proportion of the massive $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Folks, how much is $547 million as a proportion of the massive $1.9 trillion stimulus plan? I'll give you the math. We've done the math. It's 0.03%. Okay, 0.03%. I want you to think about that for a second. She's accusing the Democrats of having a wasteful $1.9 trillion bill, but she specifically pinpoints the 0.03% that she wants to rip apart and call one of them the Pelosi subway, and call it a liberal wish list. But those four specific areas that she highlighted, let's actually show you those four specific areas again, represent 0.03% when you add those numbers up as a proportion of the $1.9 trillion that are going to be in the American Rescue Plan. Now, let's tackle the extremely controversial subject of illegal immigrants, illegal aliens getting stimulus checks. Let's jump into that. So, folks, Jim Banks, Representative Jim Banks, Congressman Jim Banks, Republican from Indiana, said this in an interview on Fox News. These are bailouts to Planned Parenthood, stimulus grants to illegal immigrant families. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Illegal immigrant families receiving stimulus checks. Okay, Congressman Banks is referring to families with mixed immigration status, not families where all workers or where all family members are undocumented. Now, under the American Rescue Plan, let's say you have a couple, okay, and let's say they jointly file their taxes, and if one of them has a valid social security number and the other, let's just presume the other is undocumented, let's say the other is illegal, okay, but under the American Rescue Plan, if one individual amongst the joint filers has a social security number, then what would happen is the amount would be $1,400 for the individual, not $2,800 for the two of them. So the undocumented immigrant is not getting stimulus checks. So when Jim Banks says stimulus grants to illegal immigrant families, the undocumented immigrant or the illegal immigrant is not getting the stimulus check. The person with the social security number is getting the stimulus check, and the same goes for children. So if you have a family of four, let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's just say the wife has a social, the husband does not, and they have two kids. One has a social, the other doesn't. This family would get $1,400 for the wife, and the family would get $1,400 for the child with the social. Now, when I say child, I'm talking about adult, because only adult children are eligible, and many individuals who will get stimulus checks for the first time will be adult dependents, unlike the first and the second stimulus check. So I will do a separate training video talking about who's going to get the stimulus checks for the first time. But the entire argument about illegal families getting stimulus checks doesn't make sense, because illegal members of those families will not be eligible for the $1,400 stimulus checks. Now, let's take a look at a comment from President Biden, which is absolutely inaccurate. I think it's safe to say false. President Biden said about the federal minimum wage, for example, if we gradually increased it when we indexed it at $7.20, this was back in 2009. He said if we kept it indexed to inflation, people would be making $20 an hour right now. This is not correct. The federal minimum wage was last raised, number one, not to $7.20, but to $7.25 in July of 2009. If indexed for inflation, it would only be $8.81 today. That's it. It would not be $20 right now. So I'm surprised that the president would say that on an issue that is so critical for the Democrats. But hey, nothing surprises me anymore. It looks like, according to the New York Times, President Biden meant to say worker productivity instead of inflation. And Dean Baker, who's an economist at the Center for Economic and Policy Research, has estimated that if the minimum wage had kept up with productivity, okay, productivity instead of inflation, then the wages today, if indexed for productivity, would have been $24 instead of still staying at the $7.25. Because keep in mind, folks, even though inflation is 2% a year, productivity keeps increasing every year. So if you index the minimum wage with productivity, the wages will rise much faster, because every year, because of your experience, because of the tools you have at your disposal, because of the speed at which things happen, because of all the technology, productivity increases. That was it, everyone. Listen, I hope you learned something new. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching our channel. All I ask of you is you please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. Folks, there's a lot of time, effort, and preparation that goes into the research of the content on this channel. So all I ask is you please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about our channel, enable notifications so you get instant updates going forward. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you understand that, in a sense, both sides are misleading us and both sides are exaggerating. I think they'll say that they're misspeaking, but I would go so far as to say that many times we're being misled. You know that. I'm simply giving you specific proof of things that happened in the past 24 hours on a subject as important as the stimulus. Please subscribe again. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.